correct. This is WrestlePod. Welcome to the program. Ian Beaumont here. It is WrestleMania Day. And by way of a treat, we're going to look ahead by looking back at the 10 best WrestleMania matches there have been in WrestleMania history. Now, after tonight, maybe one or two of these matches may need to replace one or two of the ones that are in here, because tonight is a seriously stacked card. I mean, you've got Daniel Bryan making his first return to the ring in 3 years. You have got AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura. What a match that's lining up to be, a rematch from Wrestle Kingdom 10. You got Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. Oh my goodness. I mean, there's 3 potential matches that could hit it out the park tonight. And who knows which others that are in the list might do that. But up to this point, these are what I feel to be the 10 best matches ever held at WrestleMania. Now, let me say something here. There's a number of matches that didn't make the list that were real classics. Every one of these is a classic in my view. And more than that, every one of these and the many that didn't quite make the list deserve a hell of a lot of respect, because frankly they are amazing matches. There are plenty of others that were not at WrestleMania that were instant classics, but these are the 10 best that happened at WrestleMania. Starting with number 10, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 3. Oh boy, what a way to kick things off, huh? There's a match. It's not, there's no high spots, but what it is purely is expert storytelling and psychology in ring. The match tells a story brilliantly without actually, needing to do anything really over the top. But yeah, I could have picked Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 5, but I think this one tops it, even though that was a damn good match too. But actually, to be fair, I could have had up to 3 Hogan matches on the list, or even make that 4. 4 Hogan matches could have been on this list, and Hogan actually ends up not appearing at all. And that's not because he was a bad wrestler. Actually, some of his New Japan stuff back in the day was really, really good. He could wrestle relatively well technically. Also, some of his old AWA stuff, he can do quite good technical. He just never did. Vince McMahon never encouraged him to do the more technical stuff whilst he was in WWE. So yeah, could have had 4 Hogan matches on this list, and it ended up being none, which is it's a little unusual. But we do get Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in on the list, which is good. Number 9, WrestleMania 20, Chris Benoit versus Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, the triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, this one really, knowing what we know about Chris Benoit now, it can be hard to watch. But if you put that out in mind, if you watch it as though it was happening live, man, it was a hell of a match. I actually remember watching this one live, and it was a bloody amazing. Having followed Benoit for years in WCW, I knew he could really go. And I knew Shawn Michaels and Triple H could really go too. But man, the chemistry worked. Everything came together. Nearly perfect package. What can you say? Every one of these matches is awesome. But, man, they're just eight matches that were better. There isn't a lot between any of these. Let's be honest here. There isn't a lot between number 10 and number 1. Hell, there isn't even a lot between number 20 and number 1. That's how tight this is. These are the creme de la creme of WrestleMania matches. So, what can you say? Number 8, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. The submission match with Ken Shamrock as a special guest referee at WrestleMania 13. WrestleMania 13 didn't appear on any of my other lists, simply because it's only a mediocre pay-per-view. It's okay, but this is the one everybody remembers. It pretty much is nearly a one-match card, and maybe a second one, really, that kind of kept it above the bottom 10. But, it wasn't the, at the time, I thought, I actually thought this was quite a good pay-per-view when I watched it. But looking back on it now, man, how far we've come. But yeah, this was a classic match. And of course, it brought about the rarely seen, but always worshipped, double turn. Bret Hart went from face to heel. Stone Cold Steve Austin went from heel to face. And it was all done in one match, really in one move. In the sharpshooter, with Stone Cold passing out from the pain, and Bret Hart not letting go of the hold. That was it. That was all that was needed for that double turn. But man, it was amazing to see that. I could have had 3 other Stone Cold Steve Austin matches in here. 2 of his 3 against The Rock, and the one he would have a year later from this with Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship. But I gotta say, I think this was the best match of his career. I don't think he ever did any better than that. Number 7. The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. The no disqualification career versus streak match at WrestleMania 26. You could have had either Shawn Michaels Undertaker match here. It wouldn't matter, but to me, some prefer 25. I prefer 26. Why? The storytelling was better. Maybe it wasn't quite so technically thing, but you had a better psychology. You had much greater stakes in this. It was incredible. Shawn Michaels' entrance at 25 was better, but man, it doesn't. That's neither here nor there. This actually, the way the way Shawn Michaels kind of climbs up the Undertaker at the end there, and come on, put him up. I still want to fight you. And the look on Undertaker's face, the acting on that was brilliant. I love that. It was the best match at 26. in a not bad, in fact, damn good pay-per-view. One of my top 10 favorites. Number 6, Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch, the triple threat match to crown the new WWE Women's Champion. Charlotte Flair, this was at WrestleMania 32. Charlotte Flair had gone into the match as the Divas Champion. That belt was retired there. And the three of them fought for the brand new Women's Championship. And honestly, that was the best women's match we had ever seen at WrestleMania. Might get topped tonight. But man, that proved that WWE were damn serious about women's wrestling now. And B, that oh boy, did we have some bloody great talents in WWE for that to be a thing. Really, really good. Very few women's matches at WrestleMania have ever held up. And even picking, if I tried to pick the 10 best women's matches at WrestleMania, the quality would be struggling as we got lower down. Trust me on that. But this would be number 1 on that list, without doubt. At least until tonight. Number 5, the Dudley Boyz versus Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boyz in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the WWF Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania X7, or as we should say, WrestleMania 17. This match combined the best elements of tag team wrestling with some of the more hardcore elements of professional wrestling, and came out with a bundle of madness and mayhem that was damn just so good. There's no two ways about it. Dudley Boyz have been very popular in ECW. The Hardy Boyz and Edge and Christian were both making name for themselves in the WWF. When the Dudley Boyz came over, oh man, it was like putting so instead of just having like sausage and hash browns and egg, you put in the bacon with it as well, and it's like perfect breakfast. And this was a perfect combination too. Intense, insane, high risk, high pace. I don't think it ever stopped. Again, what more can I say? I don't need to say a hell of a lot for any of these, but number 4, Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair at Ric Flair's retirement match at WrestleMania 24. This is about the 3rd time I've mentioned Shawn Michaels, and spoiler alert, he's got one more entry in here. But yeah, this was amazing. We all knew going into this that this was going to be Ric Flair's last match in the WWE. But nobody was prepared for how it went down. And oh boy, did it go down amazingly. That last bit where Flair's getting up onto the canvas and he's looking at Shawn and he still wants to fight. And Shawn, standing in the corner, just says, "I'm sorry. I love you." Sweet chin music. 1, 2, 3. That was perfection. If I were to do a list of Shawn Michaels' best super kicks, this one would be number 2. Because number 1 would be the one he did to Shelton Benjamin in the Gold Rush tournament on Raw in 2005. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look that one up. That was amazing. But this will be number 2 on that list without question, because just it was the emotion of the moment. It was the storytelling leading up to that point that made that kick have so much impact, and Ric Flair sold it like a champ. What can I say? Oh, it was... You rarely get to see proper retirement matches. And we've seen, We've seen 2 that I can officially state are retirement matches at WrestleMania. This one for Ric Flair and the one I mentioned earlier for Shawn Michaels. Might have been one other, but I can't quite remember. Oh, I think it might have been Randy Savage's retirement match. Was at WrestleMania as well. Yeah, but man, as far as retirement matches go, this one tops the cake. Number 3. Sorry. Number 3. Randy Orton vs. Batista vs. Daniel Bryan. The triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 30. WrestleMania 30 is, I think it's number 2 on my list of best WrestleManias ever. Because, and a lot of it, not all of it by a long chalk, but a big chunk, not a majority chunk, but still a sizable chunk, is down to this match. Randy Orton and Batista, we'd seen it so many times before. Suddenly you add Daniel Bryan into the mix, and oh my God, it was like... It just multiplied the value of everything that was happening on. It made it 10 times better. There is nothing comparable in ordinary life to adding Daniel Bryan into a match like that. That was, suddenly you went from down there to whoop-a-doo, and it was incredible. And of course, that final scene of Daniel Bryan standing there with the 2 title belts signifying the championship. The only slight thing that might have slightly spoiled it, but even then, I think I was too in the moment to really care, was Michael Cole's call of the Miracle Kid, the Miracle Kid. I was like, oh, shut up, Michael. Some of those calls were awful. But, man, that was a hell of a match. No 2 ways about it. Now we get to number 2. The Undertaker versus Triple H. Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. Okay, I said he had one more entry. Technically, he has this entry as well as a guest referee, but he's not a competitor in the match. So, yeah, that might give you a little hint about what's coming up at number 1. But, yeah, Undertaker has been involved in 2 of the matches on this list. Triple H has been involved in 2 of the matches on this list. And, quite honestly, that Hell in a Cell was something else. Hell in a Cell matches can go from amazing to dire. I probably don't need to remind you of the one at WrestleMania 15 between Undertaker and Big Boss Man. That was dire. This was amazing. This was completely the other end of the scale. That little sequence, mid-match where Shawn Michaels, who'd been calling it very much down the middle at that point, suddenly super kicks Undertaker into a pedigree. Was it a pedigree or was it a no? I think it got. It was either a pedigree. No, I think it was a pedigree. And he goes for the pin. 1, 2, 3. No, not 3. Undertaker kicks out at 2. You think the match was going to be over there. The streak was going to end. No, it didn't. Not at that point. It would end later, and it wasn't as good a match as this by a long chalk. But, man, it was amazing to see Undertaker and Triple H in Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels. And the storytelling here was amazing. The match plotting, sort of how the match goes from A to B to C to D to the end, that was perfect, was damn near perfect as it's possible to get, except for one match coming up. Psychology was great, everything about it was great, and that last shot after the match where Undertaker and Shawn Michaels have helped Triple H up the ramp, and they all turn around to look at the crowd, and they all talk about it being an end of an era. And to be fair, it probably was the end of an era, because Triple H would not wrestle full time ever again after that. Undertaker was pretty much by this point confirmed to be special occasions only. Shawn Michaels had already retired, and we were never going to see 3 competitors like them again, ever, in WWE. It really was the end of an era, in that sense. And pretty amazing to boot. But it gets pipped at the post by number 1. Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, the 60-minute Iron Man match for the WWF Championship at WrestleMania 12. Now, some of you are now going, huh? You had WrestleMania 12 down on your worst WrestleManias list. How do you have that match on the best match list? It's because the rest of the card was awful. Ranging from the atrocious Triple H, or Hunter Hearst Helmsley as he was at the time, Ultimate Warrior match, to even the relatively decent Undertaker Diesel match. Even Stone Cold and Savio Vega was, decent, but God, the gulfing quality between the rest of the card and this match, it was perfection. It was ultimate perfection in storytelling, in psychology, in just about every detail it is possible to pinpoint. It was perfect. The way it had plotted out, and the fact that even in the 60-minute Iron Man match, nobody wanted to give up a pinfall. That was amazing. Yes, we went into overtime, and yes, Shawn Michaels did get the win there. But man, I remember being on the edge of my seat for the entirety of the match. Because I knew it wasn't going to be fast-paced. I knew it wasn't going to be uber intense. It was going to gently build. And it did, all the way, just gently building up to the crescendo at the end. Oh, perfect. It was the perfectly put together and performed wrestling match. And there's been none better in anything I've ever seen. This match still is not just the best match in WrestleMania history, but the best match in wrestling history. So there you go. That's my top 10 best WrestleMania matches. What do you think? I missed out a number I could have put in. Owen Hart, Bret Hart, WrestleMania 10. Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, WrestleMania 17. Rock Hollywood Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 18. God, this, WrestleMania 28, The Rock versus John Cena. Amazing to think John Cena isn't in this list at all, but he could have been. What do you think? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Which matches do you think I missed that should be on that top 10? Whatever your thoughts, leave a comment down below in the comments section. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Support us on Patreon so we can add to things that we do already. So we can look back at Ring of Honor content. We can look back at TNA Impact Wrestling at the New Japan and catch all those pay-per-view events live and in full. I would absolutely love it if you could support us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Ian Beaumont live and direct. I'll be back later for the all-nighter, as I'm calling it. The live reaction stream for WrestleMania 34. I look forward to you joining me then. Till next time, stay sharp, stay tuned.